Welcome back to Worldview. It's time for the Monday Line on Wednesday. The isolationist G-8 circus leaves town. Now, what if you hosted a media circus and even the protesters yawned and stayed away? Well, the annual gathering of the 8 largest national economies, that used to be known as the G7, but in a rare moment of detente, the Russians were added to make the G8, met across the channel from here in Northern Ireland. Much security ado was made in the Enniskillen resort housing the circus. The event, though cloaked in secrecy, was reached by crossing a moat and traversing a long winding road to a secluded oceanside point. About £50 million, that's about $75 million worth of armored security showed up. It was not needed, as most in the area simply yawned at the spectacle. Even when President Obama's beast-led motorcade rolled on past, local residents were overheard by reporters to say, "All this for just one man?" But militarized police had a great show of force, and that's the norm these days. Free speech and protest and the ability to say something is gone around the globe. So the armed camp event went off without a chance of anyone seeing anything but happy, freshly scrubbed Irish faces. And the location was so remote, most protesters took a pass. Didn't even bother trying to disrupt this gathering. Now, come the fall, though, when the group next gathers in Washington, D.C., you can expect a much different protest outcome. But when you can't even attract a good protest anymore, what good are you as a global domination group? And then there was the summit itself. No one got what they wanted. No one ever does. But smiles were everywhere in the G8, quote, family photo. They really do call it that, as each leader confidently expressed that great progress was made on key issues of great import. Were they all in the same meeting? There were no new trade deals. France made sure that wasn't going to happen. The Russians signed on to such a watered-down, serious statement that it was almost not worth the ink and the pens used to sign it. And in his presser afterwards, Russian leader Vladimir Putin refused to address the genocide being conducted by their sponsored state, Syria. They saw no conflict to selling arms to Bashar al-Assad and even rejected a plank in the statement calling for his removal. And British PM Cameron, as host, crowed that his 10-point plan to combat offshore tax cheats was accepted by all. Well, that was a bit of a stretch, but that's all one can expect from such a contrived gathering where the final communiqué is agreed upon by aides to each leader long before they ever come together. Now, Cameron was chuffed his 10-point plan to catch tax cheats and repatriate their offshore revenues was signed on to by everyone. But the proof will be in the execution of a strategy that most nation-states have to go back to their parliaments or Congress to enact. Lots of luck trying to bring change in those special interest-infested cesspits. Which brings us to the point of these big, expensive meetings. What exactly is the point? This meeting moves from country to country like a floating crap game, only no one ever has any real skin in this game, beyond just saving face on the global press stage. There's nothing binding that ever emerges, no serious questions are raised by a press pack that seems more interested in access than answers. And as was noted a moment ago, the outcome is known beforehand, with the real contentious issues so watered down, everyone can say they won. The G8 Syria statement is a classic example of this do-nothing, say-nothing doublespeak. We remain committed to achieving a political solution to the crisis based on a vision for a united, inclusive, and democratic Syria. We strongly endorse the decision to hold as soon as possible the Geneva Conference on Syria to fully implement the Geneva Communiqué of 30 June 2012, which sets out a number of key steps beginning with agreement on a transitional governing body with full executive powers formed by mutual consent. As the Geneva Communiqué says, the public services must be preserved or restored. This includes military forces and security services. However, all government institutions and state offices must perform according to professional and human rights standards, operating under a top leadership that inspires public confidence under the control of the transitional governing body. Blech. Bottom line, Russia's not going to sign if Assad is to be forced out, so Assad stays. The Russians still sell him arms. He may also, as a result of this weirdly weirded statement, even have veto power over the new transitional government, and others can say they now have agreement on how to proceed. Wow, I've heard of weasel wording before, but the lawyers drafting this document earned their £1,000 an hour. They made drafting this load of rubbish. Putin seemed to throw further water on the proceedings when he had his presser, and he said there was no evidence of chemical weapon usage. According to RT, the RussianTimes.com, he said, quote, "We don't have any fact of the use of such weapons by the Syrian government. I assure you that by no means all the G8 members believe that they were used," Putin said. Well, that means just him. "Any supplies of arms to rebels based on unconfirmed reports of chemical weapons used by Assad's government would destabilize the situation in Syria," Putin warned. And the Russian president stressed he never, quote, "felt isolated at the summit, despite differences in views," adding that the G8 leaders have been seeking a common solution to the Syrian conflict. So as the last of the kettle beef with violet artichokes, which was chased by apple crumble with Bushmills whiskey custard, was consumed, the question remains, are these huge summits really worth the enormous time, energy, effort, and expense? Sadly, for the watching media horde, unable and unwilling to ask tough questions of these world leaders, the answer is not really.